Hello, how's it going? Well, today, is that the right day? Yeah. Today we're going to be looking at this thing. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's a Commodore PET. That must be a Commodore PET. But what if I told you it wasn't a Commodore PET? This hunk of 80s junk is actually an Educator 64. The CBM 4064 is what it says on the front of this. But what does that mean? Well, it means that this is a Commodore 64 in a Commodore PET case, basically. How cool is that? So the story was for a quick fix for getting Commodore 64s into schools. Well, they did, because the Commodore PET case was pretty burly and beefy, and it wasn't, it was going to run off with the monitor or something. You weren't going to fit this in your backpack. Well, just shove a Commodore 64 inside it. Some of them say Educator 64 on the front, but this one says a 4064. And initially, I must be honest, I didn't have a clue it was a Commodore 64 when I got it first. I got this from Julian in Braunschweig on the 2019 Winter Look Mum No Computer Tour. And we went around his house and we had a look in his loft, and annoyingly we lost all of the footage, and that is it's a worryingly often kind of thing when footage goes a bit corrupt or missing. But that's the thing, when you're on tour and you're trying to keep on top of all of this footage that you've grabbed, inevitably some of it just goes on the wayside. I've been trying to get in contact with him and I can't find a blooming email. So Julian, if you're watching, please fire us another email. When we parted ways, I was under the impression that this was a Commodore PET, and I'm not sure what he thought as well. But so I've since learned that it wasn't a Commodore PET, and it's taken quite a while to do a video on it. I'm very sorry about that. And yeah, I did give him a bit of money for this, but it's a bit of a weird one. So I've just been in touch with Julian, and he's told me a little bit more information about this. He got it back in 2009. He got given it by a friend in a repair shop in Braunschweig, and apparently this was built in Braunschweig, which is really interesting. Apparently the last time he used it, he made a nice basic program right here, but that was way back in 2012, and since then this has been sat in the attic, well, until 2019. So here's a shout out to Julian. His YouTube channel is below. He's got lots of different things over on there, so if you're interested, go and check it out. So the eagle eyes amongst you, the ones that know what Commodore PETs look like and the ones that know what Commodore 64s look like, will notice that that isn't a Commodore PET keyboard. No, that's actually a Commodore 64 keyboard. There is one slight difference, and if I find a Commodore 64 keyboard, we'll have a little closer look. You can see that they actually match up, except this one's got the colors on the top, and this one doesn't have the colours on the top. And that's because even though this is a Commodore 64, it's still got the green monitor from the Commodore PET in here. So there's no colours, it's just green and black. Anyway, first off, let's open it up and have a look on the inside. Yeah, so the people who know what Commodore 64 motherboards look like and what Commodore PET motherboards look like, well, you'll notice that that is not a Commodore PET. That's a Commodore 64! And the unfortunate thing about this original board is it hasn't got the SID chip in it, and it hasn't got the circuits accompanying it. And what use is something like this in a music kind of form if there's no SID chip? And obviously it makes sense at school, because you don't want kids like playing on games and stuff with cool theme tunes and stuff, so that wasn't even bothered being put in. There's another board here. This is different to the Commodore PET as well, so there's a video output that goes into here, and that gets transferred over and then goes and talks to the original Commodore PET screen that is up above via this wire. Then you'll notice there's a power supply here that goes off and powers the monitor, as well as going off and powering the Commodore 64 motherboard. I've just dropped my Sharpie. Now I know what you're thinking, does it turn on? Well, yes, it does. However, you'll find out soon that it is a little bit problematic. So we'll turn it on first. You can see it actually boots up. Wait for it. You won't hear any noises and stuff because it hasn't got any sound chip or sound or anything. Oh! And it trips the fuse, and we are in pitch blackness because it seems to boot up. It takes about 30 seconds, and it trips the main fuse, which is pretty strange. So I've got to go over to the fuse box, and it's quite a strange situation actually. It trips the whole thing. So there's going to be an issue around here. We'll probably need to recap it and have a look and see what is going on there. But first, let's have a chat about what the plan is with this other dreamboat. So the reason it's taken so long for me to get to this project is basically I've got quite a backlog of them, and setting up the museum was quite a time-consuming thing. The whole lockdown thing kind of just meant I had to move loads of stuff everywhere, and it hasn't been ideal. And finally getting to kind of work through them, like the Teletubby tidal wave and stuff like that, finally just chocking through them and stuff. It's been a little bit of a disruption with all that stuff, but with this project, what do we need to do? Well, ideally it would be cool to make this somewhat musical, but the problem is you don't want to modify something like this because it's a little bit of a gem. So what are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? Well, I don't know. So the story goes, the Educator 64s, they're all different. They're all pretty much different. And, you know, like they have ranging different types of motherboards from different type of Commodore 64s in different levels. Some have SID chips apparently, some don't. This one doesn't. And yeah, what I don't want to do is modify this board. I don't want to modify it because it seems a bit of a shame. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this motherboard out and we're going to put something else in. You may be thinking, Sam, the Messiah, it is in color. The thing is, the Messiah has multiple colors. It makes the most of the color palette on the C64. This obviously only goes out in black and green, so we're going to see what it looks like. Maybe it's not usable. We'll find out soon. We'll find out soon. So the first thing we need to do is figure out why it keeps on tripping the main fuse, which is a bit weird. Oh, it's going to need a... Don't want to break those screws now. Oh, this is not an awkward job. No, not at all. Oh my God, what? Yeah. Okay. Hey, there we go. Oh, I could have removed it. Oh, what a plonker. So this is the power supply. I'm going to turn the power on and see if this trips the power supply. Then it's a problem with this. And if it doesn't, then it's a problem with something else in the computer. Ah, you just missed it. Yeah, so this has caused it to go kapoppy. I'm going to disconnect the transformer. The only thing that's wired into the power socket is this part. So it seems that it's this HPF 300 CET, but I've looked on the inside of it and kablammy. Yes, the dreaded reefer capacitors. These are everywhere. In fact, if you don't remember, these are what went up in smoke when I did the video on the Apple II. However, I just quite promptly got a reply from Dave at Time of Software saying that these things were to filter out hums from noisy TVs nearby and stuff, which isn't as much of a problem anymore. Ta-ra, ta-ra for now, evil reefer capacitors. It won't be the last time I'll see you, but I hope I won't see you for a while. There we go. There we got a new... Well, it's not new, it's a random old one, but cool! 4700 microfarads, 16 volts. I got 4725 volts. That'll do! Right, let's see if we have life. So after a bit of messing around, well, we've got Messiah plugged on it. It looks a little bit different to a normal Commodore 64 because the actual boot is, well, it's black. It's black. It looks like a Commodore PET, but it's a Commodore 64. So since that last shot, which was actually 3 days ago now, oh my gosh, it has been a nightmare to say the least. First off, after that, after I was testing it, it just started to go wrong. It seems like this thing hasn't been turned on for 10 or so years, and it just, everything started to just break all at the same time. I spent the first whole day of this trying to find a problem that ended up being in the converter board that goes between the Commodore 64 board and the Commodore PET monitor. It turned out to be a dead transistor. I won't go into loads of detail about that. However, I have made public the detailed description of my plonker kind of language of how I found that problem and what was wrong with it, and the link to that video is below. I also decided not to use the original motherboard because it didn't have a SID chip and it didn't have all the circuitry around it, so it would have required it to be modified. I figured may as well just take that out and put it elsewhere and store it so it can go back in at any time and it can go back to normal. The amazing thing is, in the end of the day, these were all made from out of warranty Commodore 64 parts. So all of the motherboards were different anyway. So what I've done is I've put in place of that another Commodore 64 board with 2 SID chips. It's got the SID to SID conversion. It's also got an SD card reader for us to save song files when we're playing on Messiah. So yeah, not too dissimilar to what an Educator 64 could be like, but you know, it's all pretty good and I can't wait to make some sound. In the past, I've always found it pretty awkward to control Messiah, the music making program on the Commodore 64. So what I've done is I've modified a joystick and built it into this so it's a little bit more usable. You can use a mouse, however, it always is a little bit clunky. I found this to be the best way for me to control Messiah. Woo! Also rooting around, I found this that I totally forgot about. Oh yeah, it's a Commodore MIDI keyboard, and this is wired directly into a version of Messiah. So yeah, this might just be the ultimate music production suite. I mean, that's pretty optimistic, but let's give it a go, shall we? It's always a little bit nerve-wracking with this turning on because there's absolutely no signal of it turning on, and then you have to wait for the CRT to warm up a little bit. Is it even plugged in? It's not even turned on at the wall. It's not even turned on at the wall. Right. Oh, here we go. Yes! And as if by magic, we have Messiah on what seems to be a Commodore PET. Truly weird, and I've already got that feeling that I'm leaning over the keyboard. Oh God. From the start, it looks a little bit difficult to see a few things. It works off the Luma channel of the video, so it ignores the color, so it's just working on what the brightness is. And the thing is, you can change the threshold at what becomes black and what becomes white, because there's no grayscale on this. And I've even added a switch on the joystick that flicks between two brightness modes. So as you can see, there is just a precipice of whatever color this is around here, going from black to white, well, green. So let's see if we can record something. So I'm gonna hit record. I'm on the MIDI keyboard. Take it. Right, let's go and try and change the sound of this. Let's go to the instruments. I've got to be honest, it is really hard to see the program on a green screen. Oh no. Oh, this is flawed. Yeah, this is difficult. This might not be the best setup for Messiah, but I'm going to persist anyway. Right, we're going to set a new musical instrument. We're going over to instrument 2 now. Oh yeah. Closed hi-hat, yeah. Let's see what that sounds like. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's the one. Are you ready to get down in the club? I can't hear you, no. Oh shit. Oh no, I was fiddling with the SID chip too much. Oh no. Oh, let me go and fix that SID chip. But, oh, that's quite a nice screen actually. Right, I'm just loading the song from the last time that we did a Messiah video. By the way, I'm gonna write another song on this with the limitations, and I'll be doing a live stream. But right now, let's see what this one sounds like and see where we get to. Wow, here we go. This is //, and yeah, it's all still there. It's a nightmare to make it all out, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Start from the start. I remember it being quite slow, so I'm going to speed it up. Right, here we go. Nice work. That's the CPU. Check out this. That's the maximum usage. So now it's working, it's finally time to start making some proper tunage on this thing. This might be a bit of a cop-out, but I might even put a small screen next to it as well, so you've got the cool vibes, and oh my god, this is so silly. Anyway, keep an eye out for part 2 on this. There may very well be a live stream of me trying to put together a song on this absolute behemoth of beauty. There's that link to the repair chat about this video below as well. And there's also Commodore 64 drum samples, as well as the Messiah file from // over on Patreon, as well as loads of other samples and stuff and this and that supports these rather silly ventures. So if you want to go and check that stuff out, then please go and check it out over on Patreon. Anyway, I've been Look Mum No Computer. This is the Model 4064, and If you like this, don't forget to subscribe and don't be scared to try it. But maybe do this on a normal Commodore 64 because you might have more luck actually.